Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Same 24 Hours podcast. I'm Meredith Atwood. I'm very excited about Dr. David D. Burns is here today. Hi, Dr. Burns. How are
Hi,
you?
Meredith. Thanks
Oh
for
my
having
goodness.
me on. I'm so happy to be on your show. I'm very, very psyched.
This is so exciting. One, because of who you are. And if my audience doesn't know, like you're about to be blown away because this Dr. Burns is amazing. But I was in the bookstore on over the weekend and my daughter was with me and she goes, Mom, let's go see your book. Cause there's signed copies in my local bookstore and she likes to
Oh,
count how many have been sold. And
oh
usually
yeah.
it's not very many.
Yeah, I know
So
the
we went
feeling.
over, she's like, there's 4 signed copies. And I said, oh, well, that's not good because there was 4 last time we were here. But
Oh,
then I looked and she's like, what's this big book? And I was like, that's Dr. Burns's book. That's his book, Feeling Good. I said, I'm talking to this guy next week. And she's like, you make up stories.
oh,
So I
that's
do not
touching.
make
Thank
up
you.
stories, but wow, what an honor to talk to you. Okay, I'll quit blubbering now. So let's talk about first Feeling Good. And then I want to talk about that book you have in the background,
Okay,
Feeling Great. So you've sold over 5 million copies of Feeling Good. And it's considered like the foundation of cognitive behavioral therapy. So congratulations on that.
thank you.
And let's talk about your research and how did you come to write Feeling Good and what is this worldwide acclaim and what does
Sure. Thank
everyone,
you so
yeah,
much.
let's just start there.
Well, I was doing research at the University of Pennsylvania Medical School after I finished my residency, and I'm sure you've heard, most people have heard this idea that depression is due to a chemical imbalance in the brain. And I was doing research on that, serotonin theory, the so-called happy chemical. If you have too little serotonin, you'll be depressed. If you have too much, you'll be manic.
Right.
And I was doing both clinical research and basic research on brain chemistry. And the research indicated that this theory was fraudulent. And there's a difference between a false and a fraudulent theory. A false theory is one that you've proven through research that it's not true. And we proved that as early as 1975 and published in top research journals. A fraudulent theory is one that continues to be promoted in spite of the fact that it's been debunked, and generally for uh, financial motives is
Mm.
huge. And with the drug companies making billions off of the chemicals called antidepressants, and I had prescribed them for all of my patients, tons of antidepressants, and I rarely or never saw anyone recover or go from depression to waking up and saying, "Hey, it's great to be alive." Like today, I'm feeling pretty darn happy. I see some redwood trees out here, and I see a beautiful cherry type tree going into full blossoms, and we have a new adopted cat who's just very
I saw
loving.
him or her behind
Yeah, it's a
you.
her. It's a big girl, a beautiful big girl. Her owner died, and she's 6 years old, and
Hmm.
we adopted her. And I woke up in the middle of the night and had the impulse to start petting her. She was on the bed, and she turned into a machine, a beautiful purring, and then she rolled over on her back and showed me her tummy, and it was just wonderful. But sadly, my patients weren't having these kinds of experiences, and I was really getting frustrated, and I could sense that a lot of people in the field were working for a financial motive rather
Hmm.
than to get at the truth. And then I heard about this kooky guy named Aaron Beck. And when I looked at him, he looked goofy. He wore these little bow ties and he talked kind of like a con artist to a certain extent. But he said, you can treat depression without pills. And depression is caused by our negative thoughts.
Hmm.
And when you're depressed, your negative thoughts aren't true. You're fooling yourself. Depression is the world's oldest con. And when you
Wow.
change the
Okay,
way
let's pause there for a
yeah,
second.
yeah,
One, go back to the statement you made about our negative thoughts and let's repeat that and
yeah,
that just I feel like that just needs a pause for
Oh,
everyone
sure.
listening. Let's repeat
Absolutely.
it.
These are big
Okay.
ideas. Well, that one's
Yeah.
been around for 2,000 years, since the time of the Greek philosopher Epictetus, who said we're disturbed not by things, but by our views of them. And this is so basic and overwhelmingly obvious that no one can understand it or believe it. And what it means is that all your emotions are caused by what you're telling yourself at every moment of every day. You're creating your own emotional reality through your thoughts. And when people are depressed or anxious, you'll be telling yourself things like this: I'm a loser, I'm unlovable. I saw a young woman recently, and she broke up with her boyfriend of 2 years, and she was depressed and said, Dr. Burns, I think I'm unlovable. I
Mm,
think I'm going to be alone forever. And those thoughts, if you believe them, are devastating. And it's not the breakup in her relationship that caused her depression. It's normal to feel sad, but the depression is caused by these thoughts. Or let's say you have public speaking anxiety, as so many people do. I used to have crippling public speaking anxiety, and my first academic talk was humiliating beyond belief. But you're telling yourself, I just know I'm going to screw up when I give my talk. My mind's going to go blank. I'll make a fool of myself. People will see how nervous I am. They'll judge me. They'll look down on me. There's something wrong with me. I'm inferior. Other people don't have this problem. What's wrong with me? It's that kind of inner dialogue. And all depression, all anxiety, and all anger results from these internal messages. And even now, when people are listening, even now, everyone listening to the show has different feelings.
yeah.
Like some may be thinking, oh, Burns sounds like an ass. Well, he's stupid what he's saying. Well, then you're feeling annoyed.
Right.
Or some might be thinking, oh boy, this sounds too hard for me. I won't be able to use this. I need it, but it won't work for me. And then you're feeling anxious or hopeless. And then others may be thinking, oh, wow, this could be pretty awesome. Maybe that book he wrote, Feeling Good, maybe that would help cure my depression. And then you'll feel happy and excited. And so the idea is simple. You're all hearing the same show, the same words exactly, but you're all having different feelings. So what
Right.
causes your feelings? Not what I'm saying, not what Meredith is saying, but your thoughts about it. And that's the first idea. It's 2,000 years old, or 2,500 years old if you want to go all the way back to the time of the Buddha.
Yeah. And how hard is it if we've been disconnected from our thoughts or have not been paying attention to them or are new to this concept? How hard is it to actually hear them or recognize them?
Oh, it's easy. I've never had any. I say my whole life I only had 3 people who said I can't think of what my negative thoughts are, and then it's easy to solve that problem. But usually, if I say to a patient, give me a moment you were upset. What time of
Hmm.
day was it? Where were you? What was going on? Who were you with? What did they say? What did you say next? What were your feelings? Oh, I was depressed. I was guilty. I was feeling hopeless and discouraged. And they say, tell me what you were thinking. Like anxiety usually results from telling yourself you're in danger, that something bad is
Mm,
going to happen. When I give my talk, I'll blow it. Depression results from telling yourself that you've lost something or someone important
okay.
to your sense of self-esteem. Guilt results from telling yourself you're bad, or that you hurt someone you loved, or you violated your value system. Uh, Anger results from telling yourself that somebody's a jerk, that they're trying to take advantage of you, that they shouldn't be so screwed up.
Right.
Hopelessness results from telling yourself things will never change. I'll be depressed forever. My problems could never be solved. So it's easy for people to come up with their negative thoughts. Changing them is where the excitement and the art form come in.
Right. Well, it's funny because I started doing this work myself on myself, a couple years ago. And I realized that I had this habitual pattern of saying my life is a mess.
Oh
So
yeah,
like
yeah,
we went under contract for our house on Monday last week, and like everything is falling into place. Like life is just like, everything we need to do to
yeah.
move. And I went into the kitchen and I made a smoothie, and the blender like exploded the smoothie everywhere. It went. everywhere. And as I was cleaning it up, my thought was, my life is such a mess.
Yeah, yeah, right.
And I
Yeah,
thought, oh
I,
my gosh,
yeah,
everything is in place. I have a
yeah,
smoothie accident, and I go to this default
yeah,
of my life is a mess. So I guess that's what more along the lines of what I meant when it's like hard to kind of identify maybe those like habitual thoughts that keep
yeah.
us stuck,
But what you just said is so vitally important. It's actually a new discovery in psychotherapy that I call fractal psychotherapy. And I don't know if you've heard of the word fractal.
Hmm.
It's a kind of quasi-scientific a new notion, really, but that it's been shown that an awful lot of what exists in nature is created by fractals. And a fractal is a simplistic, tiny formula that even a fourth grader could easily comprehend and work with that repeats itself over and over again. And so if you look at a leaf, the tiniest part of a leaf, if you have a massively powerful magnifying glass or microscope, you'll see that the tiniest part of a leaf is always exactly like the entire leaf itself. It's just
Right.
a little pattern that keeps repeating itself over and over again. And this is how trees make leaves and how forests exist. And you can create these little formulas and create amazing things on a computer with just a tiny little simple formula that keeps repeating itself. You can simulate a forest, the east coast of the United States. You can create a gorgeous looking multicolored parrot. And the thing is that all of our emotional problems also result from what I call brain fractals or thinking fractals, little tiny patterns that repeat themselves over and over again. So one of yours would be,
My
my
life is
life
a
is
mess.
it's a mess. Things out of
Everything's
control.
a mess.
And the neat thing about that is that I can show people how to modify a fractal, their key misery fractal, in a single therapy session now. When I work with people, I generally work with them for 2 hours, and the goal is to complete the entire course of therapy in one 2 hour session. And I can
Wow.
almost always do that. But the way we do it is zero in on the person's fractal and then use powerful techniques to smash and modify that fractal. So it's kind of interesting, what you said is really rings true.
Yeah. And I love so much that you said like we spend 2 hours, we pinpoint it and we smash it because it
Yeah,
really is that simple and that difficult, right? I mean, me
yeah,
realizing that I run with an underground thought of my life is a mess
yeah,
was so insightful because
yeah,
it made me realize this is why I'm in a panic because I think my life is a mess. But when I step back and I write about it or discuss it with, the air, I can see
yeah,
that my life is not a mess. So, what is the
yeah.
step after you kind of identify your thoughts? Like, I know in
Well,
feeling good. Go ahead.
sure. Well, and there's the feeling good approach and then the feeling great approach, which is which is the new book. But in the feeling good approach, it was all about identifying the distortions in your thoughts and smashing those distorted thoughts. And that's still incredibly important. And you're probably aware of this, but there are these 10 classic thinking errors that I listed for the first time in my book Feeling Good, like all or nothing thinking, looking at things in black or white categories. Like you might put pressure on yourself to say, "Oh, this show has to be so great." Or it's no good at all. That's that all or nothing
Right.
thinking, perfectionism. And I used to really be trapped in this, and a lot of people are, but I'm not anymore. See, to me, I just feel lucky to be talking to you right now and schmoozing with you. And I'm not worried about, who's going
Right.
to like or dislike the show. But it's so easy to get into this all or nothing thinking. If I'm not a complete success, I'm a total failure. My boyfriend broke up with me, so I must be unlovable. That's kind of all or nothing thinking, as if people are either lovable or unlovable, worthwhile or worthless,
Yeah.
winners or losers. And then, overgeneralization. I won't go into all of the 10 thinking errors, but the listeners will recognize these. Generalizing from a negative event to a never ending pattern of defeat or to yourself. You see, she's not focusing on why did my relationship break up, which is where she needs to go, and what can I learn and how can I grow and change. She's going to, I'm unlovable. I have an unlovable self, and I'll be alone forever. That's overgeneralization. And that's what I mean when I say that depression and anxiety are the world's oldest cons. Because what you're telling yourself, like my life is a mess or whatever, when you're depressed and anxious, those thoughts are not true. You're fooling yourself. And then the third idea, which is the killer idea I wrote about in Feeling Good, is the very moment you change those thoughts, you crush those thoughts and prove to yourself that what you're telling yourself isn't true, and that very moment you'll instantly feel better. So that's the state of the art as of 1980 when Feeling Good came out, and that was powerful alone because the research has shown that 2/3 of the people who were given a copy of the book Feeling Good, who were depressed, will recover in 4 weeks with no other treatment, no drugs, no psychotherapy. So if anyone is listening and depressed or has a loved one who's depressed, you might think of giving them a copy of Feeling Good. Now, the new book, Feeling Great, keeps all of that good, cognitive therapy, it's called. You change your cognitions or thoughts. I've kept all of that, but since I've been at Stanford, I've developed a weekly psychotherapy development group that's for community therapists and then, graduate students at Stanford and so forth. And we've developed a powerful new technique that doesn't conflict with cognitive therapy, but it kind of like puts cognitive therapy on steroids. And that's that one of the things that Freud tried to solve was this idea of resistance. He saw a lot of his patients resisted for some reason, and he spent his life trying to figure that out and solve that problem, and he never did. He didn't come up with the correct idea of resistance, and his free association on the couch for years was very ineffective. But we've discovered that the cause of resistance, why people get stuck sometimes for years in negative, funky moods, is because your negative feelings don't result from what's wrong with you. All this stuff about you have a mental disorder or chemical imbalance in your brain, that stuff is a lot of baloney related, and it's demoralizing. But it results from what's great about you, and your core values, what's beautiful and awesome about you, and there's huge benefits to you from these negative thoughts and feelings: the depression, the anxiety, the guilt, the shame, the hopelessness. All of these things have huge hidden benefits, and when you bring the beautiful parts of yourself out, you begin to see them in your negative thoughts and feelings. And you begin to see the benefits of them. Oddly, your resistance disappears, and then depression is just a stone's throw away. And I can give you an example of it right now. So you might think of telling yourself, my life is a mess, as a problem. Causes anxiety and low self-esteem and frustration and feeling overwhelmed. And you might fight to get rid of that thought. But then your subconscious mind will fight you and resist you, because that thought actually is showing fabulous things about you and your core values. And if you don't take that
Oh,
into account, you will not be willing to let go of it, and for
okay.
good reason. And so the new Feeling Great therapy in the new book is all about trying to persuade the patient not to change because of what's so awesome about their symptoms. And so we can do that right now if you like.
Yes, let's do this. Okay,
So
so my
you need
life
a
is a
piece of,
mess.
yeah, and you need a piece of paper. I'll
I've
get a
got my
piece of paper
paper.
myself here.
Okay, here we go,
And
everyone. Get your paper out if you're listening, because if
so
your life is a mess, we're going to do this.
yeah. So when you say your life is a mess, what are the names of the feelings do you have? Do you feel anxious?
Yes,
How
anxious,
uh-huh.
um, scattered,
You feel
uh,
scattered.
like
Uh-huh.
frantic, which I guess
Yeah.
I feel like that's different than anxious though. Frantic is like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
I got to
Yeah,
get
that
it done now.
oh yeah, yeah,
Um,
that's beautiful. I love scattered and frantic. Do you feel any guilty or ashamed?
yes, like, why haven't I dealt with this? Why am I
Okay.
here again in my life? What has
Yeah.
happened to me? Why is this still happening? I'm
You
41 and my life is still a mess.
Perfect. Perfect. Do you feel inadequate when you tell you of
Yes,
yourself?
yes.
Uh-huh.
You're an imposter. You're a fraud. I mean, I go down the
Yeah.
route. You can tell I've been
Yeah.
listening for a while.
Beautiful. This is great stuff.
I go
Um,
down the rabbit hole.
yeah. Do you feel also any I'm just speculating here, going through categories of emotion. Do you ever feel alone or lonely when you tell
Oh, yeah.
yourself that?
Yes,
Uh-huh.
I'm
Okay.
lonely. Nobody cares. Nobody likes me.
Sure.
No one cares about my podcast. No one likes my
No, I'm just looking
books.
for distorted thoughts. I'm pulling your leg. I'm, I'm teasing a little
Nobody
bit.
cares.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Sure. Yeah,
Exactly.
those
At
thoughts
some
are very,
level, at
those
some
thoughts
level,
can
it's
be
true.
so painful, and it seems so real. And we could add other feelings too. Do you feel embarrassed when you have that thought?
Yeah, I feel yeah. Well, see, the embarrassed then gets tied to my body.
Oh
So,
yeah, sure.
like, why am I still carrying around the same 20 pounds? What, like,
Oh yeah.
you should, yeah,
Hmm.
it's all like just from that one statement, because I have to make sure that with my statement, my life is a mess, I cover all areas of my life.
Oh yeah, sure.
you know,
And now, do you feel discouraged or hopeless when you have those kinds of thoughts?
I never, hopeless is not my MO, but
Yeah.
discouraged and also like, I'll just quit because why bother?
Oh yeah.
So it's more of a
Yeah.
screw you, I'm not bothering. So I
Yeah.
never
So
feel
so
hopeless.
so is that kind of an angry thing, an annoyed
Yeah.
thing? Yeah,
Yeah.
annoyed. And then frustrated, do you feel too?
Frustrated and very martyry. Like, I do
Yeah. Oh,
everything and nothing
yeah.
happens.
Oh yeah, great. Now here's the thing, and we're moving fast, and this is kind of cool that we're doing this so fast. Suppose we had a magic button. Now I'll just accelerate all of this. A big red magic button. If you pressed that, all these negative thoughts and feelings would instantly vanish, and you go into a state of euphoria with no effort whatsoever.
Okay.
Uh, would you press the button?
I mean, I say I would, but I think I'm addicted to the thoughts that I
Sure,
want to stay
sure,
miserable. Like, I
sure,
would I
sure.
would question the button. You know what I mean?
Good. That's very wise. Absolutely. Now let's think of all the good reasons not to press that magic button. What do all these negative thoughts and feelings show about you that's positive and awesome? And we're going to make a list of them, of positives, right now. Now let's start with the scattered and frantic. What are some benefits to you of feeling scattered and frantic? And what do those feelings show about you and your core values that's positive and awesome?
That I have the ability to spring into action when I
Okay,
need
write
to.
write that down right
Okay.
now.
Ability to
I
act.
yeah, I can spring into action. That's a good one.
Okay.
I love that. And anything else from scattered and frantic?
That I can handle a lot of things at once. Like, as it's coming to me, I can hold a lot of information, even though it's all over the place. I have
Yeah,
energy and
yeah.
the ability to hold a
Well,
lot.
that's two things. I can handle a lot at once. And then number three is it shows that I have energy and maybe even motivation,
Yeah. Okay. I like that.
and motivation. Uh, Now, what you also said you feel anxious at these moments when you tell yourself, what is the thought again?
My life is a mess.
Oh yeah, my life is a mess, right? That you feel anxious. What are some good things about your anxiety?
um, I think it's about, it lets me know that I need to do something.
Okay, yeah, the anxiety lets me know, and it kind of protects you.
Right.
That lets me know I need to do something. Uh-huh. And so also do you do a lot of things and accomplish a lot?
Yes.
Is
I'm
that a
high
benefit?
functioning. Yes.
Yeah, okay,
I
put
would
that
say
down.
so.
Number
Yeah.
five, high functioning and achievement.
Okay.
Now you said you sometimes feel guilty and ashamed. What does that show about you that's positive and awesome?
So for me, I think it's my ability to change because I don't necessarily have a lot to be guilty and ashamed about, but I have a lot of things in my past. Like I drank heavy for 20 years and I'm sober. So it's like I have things in the past that are yuck, but it shows me how far I've come. I know that I can overcome things. So the guilt is sort of pointing me toward the yuck of the past. But the
I
good
love
thing
that.
about it is it shows me how far I've come if I pay attention to that part of it, right?
Yeah, yeah. So you can put that down. Advantage number +6. It shows me how far I've come, and it also shows the guilt and shame that I have a moral compass
Hmm.
for myself.
Yeah. Hey, that's good. I hadn't thought about that one.
Yeah, sure.
Because
Um,
I come from a crazy religious background. So the moral compass that's
oh,
good to
interesting.
know that.
What religion?
So it was non-denominational Christian, but also known as a cult for many years.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Got a little bit of that in the history, and so I have little confusion with religion and spirituality. So
Well, I
it's
do
good that the
too.
moral compass is showing up
Yeah,
somewhere.
well, you can have a moral compass without being religious, but my dad was a Lutheran minister, and so I got kind of anti-religious myself.
Yeah. Yeah,
'Cause
that's a sticky. That's
yeah,
that's good that that came up though, because I do know that. I know you can have a moral compass without being attached to a religion, but I think when you grow up with a different set of beliefs, it's hard to lean into that and say,
yeah,
so that's
yeah,
good. Okay, that's a
yeah,
good one.
right. Beautiful. Inadequate. You said you feel inadequate. What are some benefits of feeling inadequate, and what do those feelings show about you that's positive and awesome? Show about your core values?
Yeah, I think that I can identify what I want. And so the feelings of inadequacy are pointing to what I don't want. So it allows me to see where I want to go and also again to spring into action. I don't because I don't tend to sit in the shit soup. Like
Yeah,
I tend
sure,
to be
sure.
like, "Ugh, let's get
Yeah,
out of
cool.
this."
So now, number 8 on my list, I can identify what I want. Uh, so have you written that down?
You know. Doing it, Dr. Bird's doing it.
You
What
got
I
to do
want.
it on paper. It won't
I know.
work.
I got it right here.
Oh, good, good. Yeah.
I hope I'm doing
Now,
well.
another a positive of inadequacy, does it show that you're honest about your flaws?
Yeah.
Is that a
Yeah.
positive?
Yeah.
Okay,
It
put that
is.
down.
Okay.
Honest about about flaws. Now, I have another question for you about the feeling inadequate. Would that show you to be a very arrogant person or a humble person?
I interestingly, I think I have a touch of arrogance.
Okay, well, we'll talk about the
um,
good things about arrogance first. No, in a minute, but does it also show humility?
yeah. It's like I
Uh-huh.
can see, yeah. I think arrogance, and we don't have to go there right in a second, but I think arrogance is like a defense mechanism for me. So yeah, I think it is more um a sense of humility when I really think about it.
Is that a benefit to have humility?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Put that down,
Okay.
number 10. It's not only a spiritual quality, but also makes you accessible to other people. Because if you are accomplishing all of these things and you're this beautiful woman and doing all these things, that could intimidate people a little bit. And the humility could allow people to love you and to connect with you
Yeah.
far more quickly. Now, you said that you sometimes feel alone or lonely. What are some really nice things about feeling alone or lonely?
That I also get time to myself, which I crave. I mean, I
Okay.
crave solitude and also hate solitude.
Yeah,
Um,
so time to self, that's a positive thing. What else does your loneliness show about you that's positive and awesome?
um, that well, I mean, I'm super creative in the loneliness, and I have a empathy for it
Oh,
when I
that's
see it
good.
in others.
Oh, yeah. So add that increased compassion for others who are alone and struggling. Another thing I might suggest, and I'm just pushing this real fast because I know your time is a little bit short, but would your loneliness show that you care a great deal about relationships and people?
Yeah. And I would previously have said, just from the way I've grown up and stuff, it's like I really don't trust relationships or people, but the opposite is true, right? That
Sure.
I actually care very deeply about that.
Yeah, so care very deeply about relationships. And then what does your mistrust show about you that's positive and awesome? What are
That I
some
evaluate situations, that I'm analytical,
is that important?
cautious. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, yeah, put that down, that I'm cautious. Could we even say that your mistrust is an expression of your self-love?
Oh, that's a big one, Dr. Burns, because I wouldn't claim much self-love, but yeah, I guess so. It's self-protection, right?
Well, self-protection, you wouldn't protect yourself if you didn't love yourself.
Hmm.
So,
My
self-love's.
paper's full.
Yeah, I know. Look at mine too, and we're
Look at all
only
these
at
great
at at
things
at
about
at the
me.
at the tip of the iceberg. Well, we could go, but you get an idea further because we're just beginning to hit these things, and uh, we haven't talked about embarrassment or discouragement or annoyance or frustration. All and there's tons of positives about them
Well,
too.
let's talk about the body thing, because I think a lot of my listeners that would resonate. So, like when I said I sometimes feel take the my life is a mess and it goes to look at your body's a mess, and why are you still overweight after all these years? Like, how do we flip that one? Because I mean, I know I'm motivated to continue to try, that I continue to eat well and I work out, and that's important to me.
Okay,
Is
so
that
let's add those to the list
okay?
for
So that would
15.
be the benefits.
Of beating up on yourself.
Yeah.
We're not talking about the benefits of being overweight. We're talking about the benefits of giving yourself these negative messages.
Right.
And so one thing it motivates you. What are some other beautiful things about you that are reflected in telling yourself, "Oh, I'm overweight. I'm 22 pounds overweight," and
I think it allows me again, I think it goes back to empathy and understanding and seeing how far I've come too, because I used to be 100 pounds overweight.
oh, that's mind blowing. That's really
Yeah.
cool there.
So
Wow.
it's the thing I always go to. Like if I had the
Yeah.
self-flogging thing I repeated, it would be that one.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so, any other benefits of beating up on yourself or things it shows about you that's positive and awesome? Well, one thing we can say, the self-criticism has led to accomplishment,
Right.
a loss of 78 pounds.
Right.
Is that a
Right.
good thing?
That's a good thing.
Yeah. So I
Accomplishment. Yeah.
lost
Okay.
uh,
So I have a
78.
theme too. There's definitely a theme.
A theme. What's the theme?
The theme is I these thoughts and saying my life is a mess, it serves me to keep going, to keep
Oh, put that
striving.
down. I love that.
Oh,
That's number 18 on my list. Uh, uh, reminds me to keep uh, to keep growing.
yeah.
Yeah, that's neat. And anything else that comes to mind about any of your self-critical thoughts or negative feelings?
Um,
What's beautiful about the discouragement? What are some really awesome things about feeling discouraged?
mm, I think you got to help me on that one, doctor.
Okay, this was the second hardest one for me to figure out when I was creating this. Frustration was the hardest. This was the second hardest. And one thing about hopelessness, which you don't have, and discouragement, which is a milder version, it can protect you from disappointment. So you don't get your hopes up and get all disappointed.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
then another thing is that it shows that you're honest, that you're facing the facts as you see them. For example, you have those 22 extra pounds. And so when you're discouraged, you're being honest with yourself rather than being in some kind of state of denial.
Right.
And we can also say that it shows courage as well to be looking at yourself in an
Wow.
honest. honest way. So I've got a list here of 21 positives, and still we're not done. I mean, we haven't even listed your negative thoughts. I'm trying to work at, quadruple speed here. But now the question would be, you said that you didn't want to press a magic button and make all of this go away, and that makes good sense, all your negative thoughts and feelings, because then all these positives would go down the drain
Yeah.
along with the negative thoughts and feelings. You'd be in a state of euphoria, but you'd lose all of this.
Yeah.
And and so one kind of new way to think about it then would be, instead of having a magic button, we could imagine a magic dial and dialing some of the negative thoughts and feelings down a little bit, so you could keep all of these 21, and there'd be another 10 at least positives, but get rid of some of the discomfort and the downside. So, for example, you say you sometimes feel scattered and frantic and anxious. How strong is that between 0 and 100 when it's at its max?
Oh, I mean, when it's maxed out, frantic is huge,
Like
you know.
100, 90, 80?
Yeah, I hate to be, extreme. So like 89.
89, because I was going to guess 88, but I can well understand how it could be
89.7.
oh, that's where the error came in. Yeah, I was thinking 87, but what I meant to say was 89.7.
Right.
And then I guess the question would be, would there be some lower level that you'd be willing to dial it down to, or might be
Yeah.
helpful, so you could have all of the benefits of being anxious, scattered, and frantic without so much intensity? And again, you might say, no, I want the 89.7, which is perfectly okay. Or you might think there'd be maybe some lower
Yeah,
level.
like a 50 would be great because then I could still feel it. I would still have the sense of urgency, but it wouldn't have me it wouldn't be quite so heavy on the dial. Yeah,
Okay,
I get
good.
that.
Okay, and we'll do that in just a moment. But how guilty do you sometimes get?
Oh gosh, like that 91.4.
91.4, that's kind of similar to what I thought. I was thinking more like 91 and a half. So what if you could dial down your guilt, how much
I
would
don't
be
want to take that one away because I think that's a silly waste of time. Like
you're
that
going
one,
0
0,
or 10 or
done.
what?
Like be done with the guilt. Yeah, done. 0.
0, 0. And then how inadequate do you sometimes feel?
Like a 70. I feel that
70.
that's
And
kind of just like a bullshit thing I throw in, I think.
sure, sure. So what would be an ideal level, a level of inadequacy?
um
Remember, there's a lot of benefits to that for you.
right, like a 50. I think if I could, when you say like the euphoria button, no. But if I could dial all this back to like a 50, like
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
across the board, you know?
Okay. So we could go down the rest of your negative feelings, but
Yeah.
some would go down real low and some would go down to 50 and so forth. And so now
Yeah.
let's see if we can make that happen. So give me
Okay.
one of the negative thoughts that makes you feel scattered. I think you said it already. My life is a mess.
My life is a mess. This house is a mess.
Uh-huh.
um y- it's always it's tied to having so much to do. I'm trying to think like a specific thought.
Well, that's it. Yeah, I mean, we
Yeah.
have it already. My life is a
Okay.
mess. This house is a mess. That's good enough for what we're doing.
Okay.
Now, what are the distortions in that thought? And I can go through them one by one, and you can say yes or no.
Like the all or nothing.
Yeah, is that all
Yeah.
or nothing? Uh-huh.
Yeah, for sure. All or
And
nothing.
tell me why it's all or nothing thinking. You're right.
Because there are messy parts, but everything is not a mess. I think it's adjective versus noun. Like this is a mess pile, noun. Like it's putting my whole life as defined as a mess versus an adjective that there are parts that are messy.
I love what you're saying. That's right. And now, what is your name?
Meredith,
You know what my name is?
Dr. Burns,
No,
David.
no, Meredith. And I'm going to be the negative Meredith.
Okay, got it.
And I'm going to be that negative voice that makes you really, really frantic, and I want to see if you can defeat me.
Okay.
You want to try this? It's pretty powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
okay. Could I talk to you for a minute, Meredith?
Wait, I thought you were Meredith.
I'm the negative Meredith, and you're going to be the
Oh,
positive, self-loving
got
Meredith.
it.
I'm going to be
Okay.
the negative one who makes you frantic and guilty and
Got
inadequate,
it. Okay.
and
I'm the
we're going to see
positive Meredith. Got
see
it.
if you
Okay.
can defeat me, so we can, bring those feelings down a
Okay.
little
Got it.
bit.
Negative Meredith. Let's go.
Okay.
Uh,
Could I talk to you for a minute?
Sure.
I didn't want to hurt your feelings or anything, especially on a live podcast or even during your quieter moments alone. But I did want to remind you, and don't you forget it, that your life is a mess.
My life is not a mess. Your life is not a mess, Meredith.
No, you used my life. You're doing it
Oh,
right.
I
Yeah.
use mine. My
Yeah.
life is not a mess. It just has some messy parts to it.
Great. Now, who won?
Me.
Exactly. Did you win
Yeah.
big or small?
Big because it shut it up. It was like, no, affirmative, wrong.
Right. Big or huge?
Huge.
Huge. And so that's how the new approach works. And there's two pieces to it. And I mean, you brought them to life, but this is what I see with real people who have been struggling. Most of my people who come to me have been struggling for decades with failed
Yeah.
therapy for depression and anxiety. And this is exactly how I do it, and exactly what I see. And the reason it can work so quickly, well, in your case, I mean, you're bright and you're motivated and all of that, but it's because people have been told that your depression and anxiety is because of what's wrong with you, and that makes
Mm,
a lot of shame, and it causes people to get stuck, and they fight so hard against it that it's like trying to get out of quicksand, and they get deeper and deeper into depression and anxiety. And what we're doing here is going in the opposite direction and saying that your negative feelings and thoughts, and you have a lot of them, just like we all have a lot of them, are actually an expression of the beautiful parts of yourself. and
wow.
and then when somebody sees that, there's a kind of a relief, and the shame goes away, and it paradoxically makes it easier for them to smash the thoughts, the distorted thoughts that cause the angst, the depression, the anxiety, the anger, the frustration, the hopelessness, the guilt, the shame, and the inadequacy. And I'm very excited about it because for me, the greatest feeling in the world is working with someone and seeing them go from tears to laughter. And when I
Right.
was a psychiatric resident I was trained at Stanford Medical School, and then I did my residency at Penn, which is top. I've been on the faculty at Harvard, and I'm at Stanford, back at Stanford now. And uh, but all I've ever cared about is seeing people go from despair to joy. And when I was doing psychopharmacology and all the things I was trained in my residency, I never saw it.
Wow.
And I saw just people, and they'd come and talk every session, and my supervisor said, just tell them to just say, tell me more, and encourage them to cry and get angry.
Right.
And that
Right.
just happened all session long. And then occasionally they'd say, my supervisor would say, now when they get really angry, ask them if you remind them of their father.
Oh.
So I would say, do I remind you of your father? And they'd say, not really. And they'd say, tell me more. And they'd start crying again.
Oh my
And,
gosh.
and so I'm just really happy now that when I work with people, I usually see the transformation in a single session.
Right.
And it doesn't always happen as fast as with you. Sometimes it takes 2 hours, or maybe even two
Right.
hours and 20 minutes. But at the end, I see joy. And then I do relapse prevention training, because the negative thoughts and feelings will come back. And it's pretty easy to train a person. Here's what to do when they come back. That takes about 20 minutes, actually, and then we're done. And so my life is just, when I work with people, just always seeing this miracle happen, and it's really rewarding. And when I was in psychiatric residency training, I did, 4 years of residency. Then I did a 3-year, two-year postdoctoral research fellowship in depression treatment at the Penn Medical School. I don't ever recall ever seeing anyone recover in the
Right.
entire time. Some people get a
Right.
little less depressed, but they didn't get to joy. And now I see it all the time. So that's why I wrote Feeling Great, and that's why I'm doing my Feeling Good podcast. If anyone on your show is interested too, I'll give you some self-promotion, but it's not for money, because my website is filled with stuff that's free for people who are depressed and anxious. There's my Feeling Good podcast. We'll hit our 4 millionth download in a
Wow.
few months, and I've got free depression classes and free anxiety classes, a lot of free things, because I know that people don't have much money, and especially these days, uh, but all over the world. And so if you go to feelinggood.com, if you're interested, you'll find tons of resources there for you. You can take a depression test, and it'll show you how depressed you
Wow.
are, how anxious you are, how good your marriage is, all kinds of stuff like that, and then what to do about it once you do your diagnosis. But it's just been
Right.
so much fun, shooting the breeze with you.
Oh my gosh, this was so fun. And anyone that has listened to me for any period of time is probably like, oh, well, we knew she had some of these feelings, but this is off the chart.
Well, how do you feel having revealed all of this to so many
Fine.
people?
I feel good. I tend to be fairly transparent, but I think what people might be surprised with would be that I'm, some of the thoughts like, oh, I'm lonely.
Yeah,
And they would be like, wait, you are, or
yeah, right.
so hard on myself, like
Yeah,
imposter syndrome and that kind of stuff. But I
well, I'm
think
so
that's
glad you're
normal.
saying this. I bet you're going to get a lot of really warm emails from your fans. I did a workshop on, um, let's see, Wednesday, and I mistimed it. On, it was a full day workshop in Canada. It was virtual, and I came to 2 o'clock, and I had miscalculated the time for the slides for a particular reason. I'd overlooked something. And at 2 o'clock, I had only 10 more minutes of material. I was getting great feedback from the audience on the chat. Um, and then I thought, oh my gosh, I only have 10 minutes left of material, and we're supposed to go to 4:30. And then somebody said in the chat, oh, no, we're actually, the workshop doesn't end until 5.
You're
It's
like,
like,
oh,
oh my
thanks.
God, I've got 3 hours and I only have 10 more minutes of stuff. And then someone in the chat wrote, uh, thank you so much for this workshop. There's something about myself that I've been hiding my entire life out of shame. And this workshop made it easier for me to accept myself. God bless you.
Mm.
And then I read that to the group. And then I said, oh, I don't know if this person, I won't say what your name is, but maybe you'd want to do a live session with me to demonstrate what the workshop's been about.
And you're like,
And
please, dear
fortunately,
God, please, dear
she
God.
said yes. And I said, ka-ching, I'm saved. And then she got on and began to talk about herself. And it was so incredibly moving. She'd been raised in some, maybe like different from yourself, but equally unusual upbringing, and a lot of rigidity and coldness. And she said that she'd never been hugged by anyone until she was 40, when her mother hugged her for the first time. And then
Wow.
she tearfully uh, said, and she said I could even, put this on one of my podcasts, so I'm not violating a confidence, but she said, but the truth is, Dr. Burns, I'm 49 years old and I've never had sex. And feel so worthless and weird, and I've just been hiding this about myself, and I'm sure people here are really, really judging me. And then I guess you're up here. I keep thinking you're down here, but you're up here in
It's
the
okay.
camera. And then all of a sudden the people began putting things in the chat. We love you and we feel so close to you. And it was just incredibly moving.
Right.
And of course we did similar what you and I did, the same kinds of things.
Yeah. Well, and anyone listening, I mean, I'm sure that it seemed like it was just about me, but I'm sure that was a helpful exercise to just kind of hear someone run through all their thoughts and to see the counterpart to like the thing you say, negative thoughts are an expression of the beautiful parts of yourself. I've never heard anything like that in my life.
Isn't that awesome? I hadn't heard it either, and it didn't come to me.
Until you wrote it.
Until recently, and all this stuff has been coming with the help of my colleagues in the Stanford Tuesday group, and it's just been a real game changer for psychotherapy and for so many people. So thank you so much for having me on your show, and blessings for you, and you've given a gift for all of your fans today to show that you're human and you're not some kind of goddess or whatever.
I don't think they think that.
And they probably do. A lot of them probably do, and I find too that when I share in my teaching my failures and screw-ups, which are so frequent and often, people seem to appreciate that as well.
Right.
So,
well, you should keep my phone number, and next time you have 3 hours on, a workshop, and you're like, SOS, Meredith, come on, you can always pull me in, and then
thank you.
You can keep I'll give you my negative thoughts.
Sounds fantastic. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Dr. Burns. Your new book, Feeling Great, The Revolutionary New Treatment for Depression and Anxiety, is available now. And also check out Feeling Good and all of the things that he mentioned for free at feelinggood.com. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Meredith. And thank you, all of you, for listening today.
Hi, and welcome to the Same 24 Hours podcast. I'm Meredith Atwood, author of the book, The Year of No Nonsense. I'm a former attorney turned writer, speaker, and Ironman triathlete. Although right now, all I really like to do is lift weights. We all have the same 24 hours, but it's what we do in those hours that leads to our greatest health, happiness, and success. It's my goal to crack the code on a life of less nonsense so we can all make the most of our 24 hours. So let's get started.